Okay, so today we're going to take you on a journey again. We're going to talk about forming these stocks. Understand that the video quality is going to be really, my video quality is always substandard, but this is going to be more substandard than normal. What I'm going to do here, this is a bandsaw that I use over here. I think you can see it if I can get out of the way. But what I'm doing here is literally panning around through the light because I'm in a dark place. And what I want to show you is right here on the table in front of us. And trust me, it's going to be worth it because you're going to learn something today that not only has never been talked about on any of the channels. I can see right now that that light is buggered up, so bear with me here. We are going to we're talking about shaping and forming aluminum. See how that lighting just goes wiki-whack on me? I want to see if I can get where you can see me. Okay, it's probably as good as I'm going to get. But I'm going to pan down and I'm going to show you a bunch of the tools that I'm using. One of these stocks is starting to take shape. This is one of the billets. The last time you guys saw it, it was quite a lot longer. And it wasn't, now it's down to where it's getting down in the, I don't know, 7-8 pound range now. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm forming it down to get the feel, and then I'm going to put the big rail on here. Then I can do the rest of my lightning. This section in here is still pretty thick. It's almost 1/2 inch thick. I can decide to either hole it or thin it. I've still got a lot of meat here to get rid of. This whole area here can be hollowed out. We'll see. But that's not what's interesting. What's interesting is the methods. What's interesting is that I'm going to show yous how to use and clean tools. Bandsaw's a no-brainer, you know what to do there. The big sander over there, there's really nothing you can do except I have one that is very easy to swap out bands on, or sanding, whatever they call those, belts I guess. Very easy to swap out sanding belts. So I can run it and then turn it around and run it backwards as it clogs up with aluminum, is what I'm saying. But what's going to happen here, or what does happen here as you're working, I need to get this up to where we can see the things that I want to illustrate. Okay, this is probably going to have to work. So we've removed a lot of metal on this guy. I'm just going to roll it around so you can see. A few places, like this, was milled out. This was milled out. Of course the rough shapes were milled. But now I'm down to whittling and carving. All this handle work in here was done by hand. And I'm going to show you some of the tools. The die grinder is of course a common one. Electric die grinder. And then of course this type of stuff. Flap sanders but I'm not using flap wheels. I'm using wheels. You know what, I'm going to pop this off and I'm going to show you. I got a bunch of these. These aren't, I guess you could call them discs or wheels. Wow, this thing is out of round. How bizarre is that? No wonder it wobbled when I put it in yesterday. That's a cheap piece of junk. It's actually off center on here. But I got a bunch of sanding stuff here. I'm going to have to deal with that later. That's all for down the road. Right now we're roughing. And some of the tools that are really handy for roughing, this is the focus of this video. I'm going to show you a couple of the things, the type of burrs and the type of things that I use. Get up here where I can focus. This burr on here is carbide. And it's called for wood, but it cuts everything. And you can see the silvery stuff that's on there. That's aluminum. Here's a new one. These are about 30 bucks a pop, but they last a long time if you've smooth, steady hands. This one here has been used and cleaned and used and cleaned. I probably cleaned the aluminum out of this, I don't know, 20 times? You can actually see some dark aluminum right there, which is the stuff that's already been treated. What happens is these clog up in usage. Check this out. They clog up with aluminum, and then they start to bounce and thump, and they don't cut right and they don't clean right. And this is 6061 aluminum that I'm messing with here. And 6061 is kind of renowned for it. You can see this down here, how it's clogged up with aluminum. And so it's frustrating. So what I used to do, what I started doing, was I used picks, and I used those pressure pointed, the plunger style, plunger actuated snap punches, people call them. They're just a center punch that you push a spring and it snaps and pops, and you can stick it in here and go pop, but now and again that'll pop a tooth off. So I decided there has to be a better way, and there is. And that is hydrochloric acid, commonly found in the hardware store as muriatic acid. And it etches concrete, so if you get it on your floor. What you didn't know is that it also etches aluminum like a big dog. It doesn't just etch aluminum, it freaking eats it. Those of you who are really paying attention might have noticed on some of my other videos how I, see if I can get this focused good. I have some signs on the wall in my other room, and they say there's one about muriatic acid and aluminum. So, you dumps you some acid in here. First he puts on some goggles that I didn't show you. But you can't see my face, so I can cheat, I can get away with stuff. But this is cool, this is fascinating. I hope I can get this right there on video. I'm going to start dropping this stuff into that acid and show you what happens. Just watch that for a minute. Now, there's safety procedures with acids. I'm a concrete guy, so muriatic acid is like Kool-Aid to me. We use this stuff all the time. We use it to etch concrete, we use it to clean tools, we use it to clean concrete, we use it when we do exposed. But look what it's doing to that aluminum. It is reactifying like a monkey bear in there. So, I'm going to reach in. You guys, of course, might want to do safety gear and gloves, and that's all fine. I have no problem with that. See how it's still bubbling on there? But notice that the silver is essentially gone. If I go in there and swish a little bit, and it's bubbling everywhere it's built up. So I keep doing this. I stir this around, and I might let this pickle in there for a few more minutes. But you have watched the entire life cycle of what I'm doing. I dumped it in, I threw the stuff in, and you can see that it is working like crazy. And it is working to absolve that there aluminum. I am the master of malapropism, so I say stuff like that on purpose. Right through here, you can't see it, but it is bubbling away merrily. I think I might bring this focus up just so you can see a little better, and maybe lighten it up a little bit now. Just how cool this is and how much it's doing. I'll hook that out of there. I mean, this one didn't have too much on it. So it's basically done. You can see the little bit of fuzziness that's still going on right in here. But let me take out that, there was a guy in there that was really nasty. And that's this kind of half a lozenge shaped thing. Look at that. It's basically gone. A little swishing. I'll go rinse this off and give it a little bump on the wire wheel. But there's a little there on the back. Might have to do a little. And again, you can see, well, maybe you can see. No, this is done reactified all the way already. This is finito. This is already, I'm going to run in now while you watch this cook. And again, sorry for my non-editing skills. I'm going to go run this one underwater before I get too much going on it. So here it is. I've run it underwater and I brought it back, and the thing that you'll notice is a bunch of the carbide teeth are kind of chipped, like it's knocked the nice shiny sharp points off, because this is carbide. Rapidly rotating carbide held in one's hand does tend to chip and break. It's not the ideal scenario for this. Some of these others are not carbide, and consequently, let's go in and try out, where did my pliers go? Well, let's rinse off this one. Give you a second. This one is not carbide. This is just metal. I'll go rinse it and we'll take a quick look at this. So this was poorly planned, but sorry, this is worth it. You can see now that these non-carbide, these metal teeth in here they're showing shiny at the ends, but the shiny that's at the end is the metal underneath the black coating. It's the substrate. We got one left in here, and it must have been dirty because it's still going away. Look at that. That one is cleaned off right down to bare metal. And I'm not going to touch it because even though it wouldn't burn my hands, I'm going to go wash it off instead. I'm going to set this aside. Even though that's just muriatic acid and it's not going to do a whole lot. But there's a tool that was black when you last saw it. And it was all filled up, and I do mean it was filled up. There's one other thing that you can do with these, and I should have thought ahead. You can clean rust off of tools using this muriatic acid, and you can essentially sharpen a file. You take an old rusty file that the rust has chewed up the cutting edges on, you can soak it in muriatic acid for a little bit, and it etches the rust off, and it leaves behind a fairly sharp surface, a somewhat sharper surface. So anyway, that was what I wanted to show you. I need to go rinse this off before it etches any further. We've turned it into a bright shiny silver thing. So this episode is one of my add-ins or throwaways or whatever you want to call it, and it is simply to say muriatic acid eats aluminum. I got aluminum filings all around here. They're all over the floor. That's why I do this out here in this environment. Basically what I've done is I've chosen this area as my aluminum fabrication area because I can grind away, I can make a mess and then just sweep it out in the yard or sweep it into a pile and go get rid of it. I get rid of it in a burn pile. But now's the time for me to say something about burning aluminum. We're a bunch of pyros around here, So we burn a lot of stuff. We blow stuff up and we burn stuff a lot. So we know not to do this, but I just want to warn some of you that may not know. If you're grinding aluminum and you're getting shavings and you're getting chunks and you get a bucket of it, don't go throw it on a fire. Aluminum flake will go off like magnesium. Not quite, but it'll burn you. I mean, it's pyrotechnic grade dangerous. Do not throw aluminum dust into your burn pile. Don't walk up to the barrel and start doing this. You'll cut your arms off right at the elbows. I'm making it worse than it is, but it kind of is worse than it is, people. It's aluminum flake is brutal if you get enough heat to it. So don't burn it unless you know how to get it into your burn pile. I say start the burn pile, and while it's still burning paper, throw the aluminum in or put a bucket of it in there, and then start cranking to stay back and in case it does ignite. And then you're welcome to burn it up. Or it'll melt down into the fire. There's ways to get rid of it. But all I'm saying is I have it all over the floor here. This is kind of my aluminum grinding place while I'm putting together these stuff. So there's one last look at where it is now, just so that you can see that it's coming together, starting to look like a stock. And hopefully this will be helpful as a method for cleaning aluminum out of tools. Enjoy the day.